Welcome back, everybody. I'm here today with Whitney Magic. You might have heard of her, queenofmillions.com. She's a crypto aficionado and also a PulseChain fan. So we've got similar interests and aligned incentives there. So I know, Whitney, you tap into the women in crypto and getting them on board, and that's kind of your niche specialization. How's your experience going with all that?
Honestly, it's been really fun. Been really great too. Like the women are really receptive and really ready for it. They just need different pathways so that it can be spoken to them in a way that like makes sense to the human. And it's just been mostly around their fears, where humans fear crypto, they fear losing, they want to get in, but they just want simplification. So it's been a fun journey just to be able to simplify and like give them a pathway into it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we do learn better from people that we can more easily identify with. I mean, that's why you don't see like a lot of men aren't super big on like Oprah Winfrey, but she's super inspirational to many women out there. So, I mean, whether or not you're learning from, pick your mentor, it's good to have these words broken down in plain English because we invent our own language in crypto a lot of the times. My course, there's an entire lesson just on what do these words mean? What is like a whale? What is liquidity? What is cheating? What does it mean to get wrecked? Like all these slang words that are kind of funny. And when they click for you, you're like, oh, that actually does make sense. Like it makes sense more than whatever the finance bro way of saying it would be, right? We're being more direct, but it still is confusing. And so when new people are coming in, male, female, whatever, I think what we've both witnessed is that the confidence is the issue. People are scared because they don't want to get it wrong. And rightly so, because there's so many different ways to get scammed, so many different things that if you do them wrong, if you give your private keys away, if you make one mistake or click one bad link, you could lose all your money. So that's a big part of what we try to teach people as well. But just that confidence, right? So I'm sure a lot of people watching, you might be new to crypto, you might have heard there's a ton of opportunity here, but we want to give you guys the confidence to do it right.
And the excitement. Like right now in the world, we all know that life feels expensive. A lot of things are coming up with money with people. And I found how cool it is for us to be able to say, I'm excited with my financial future and where my money is sitting. Like not many people can say that. And to just notice that it's like, it doesn't take that much energy and effort to build a crypto system and to build your crypto conviction. But once you have that system and once you've given that energy to it, your money gets to work for you from here on out.
Yeah, it's so much more exciting than just like index funds and like bonds and all that stuff. That's great, sure, but yeah, it's cool to get 5 to 10% interest, return on investment year over year. But it really, when you think about it, it barely outpaces inflation, if at all. And I'm talking about the real inflation numbers, which you can get on trueflation.com, TRUflation. Because, the government's going to report one thing, the CPI numbers are going to say, oh, look, it's back down to 2%. It's not really. And in the categories that matter, like food and oil, like you got to gas your car up every day unless you drive a Tesla. And you also have to buy food at the grocery store. And it's not getting any easier because you could work for 2 or 3 or 4 years at your job to get that 10 or 15% raise via a promotion. But during that time, you're really just staying afloat. So, a lot of people complain about, oh, the American dream is dead. It's not dead, but it's dying in the conventional sense. And there's these new ways that we have to figure out. We have to adapt to the new world, which we're also building at the same time. So I think, I don't know, would you consider yourself more of on the education marketing side of things?
Versus what would be the other half?
I guess building or scamming. You could always just be a scammer, right?
Definitely the education building side. And it's
Yeah.
having people also trust in the future, and be excited to be like, oh, I see the narratives. I see where things are going. I see the patterns. It's like, I don't have to constantly consume every information like mindlessly, but it's shifting to that level of empowerment and that excitement for like, I can see where things are going and I can also make moves.
Well, hold on. That's a great point. How do you filter information? Because there's information overload out there on Twitter. And if I've talked about this on like a TikTok earlier. It's like if you let yourself go down these rabbit holes on Twitter, TikTok, and you're just doom scrolling, our brains are only built for like Dunbar's number, 150 relationships. We're not built to handle 10,000 people's opinions, 90% of which are just like basement dwelling trolls anyway. So it's like not all the information is equal. How do you filter?
Great question. So I first off like to start off where it's like education is the key for to set any foundation of like being able to get into the space and be able to filter the information. It's like you have to start off with the base frameworks of like questioning how you think and how you relate to things. Um, I definitely have gone through my waves of like consuming too much information, but ultimately I've realized every single time that I've gone through that, it was more of like I had to go through that period to be like, oh, by consuming too much, I actually understood how the space worked first. And then I was able to filter in a little bit more. So, example of that would be like in the crypto space, I find something people get really overwhelmed with is like they don't even know where to begin. Like, there's all these coins, especially now, meme coin season and everything. Like, their friends and friends of friends are like creating coins, and people are like, oh, what do I buy? Um, versus if you can first understand like welcome to the crypto space, there are foundational cryptos versus there is the DeFi world versus the meme coins versus the GameFi versus all these other sectors that are popping out. It helps make things a lot more digestible. So from one of the first things that I do for like just being able to process information is to first ask myself like, why am I consuming this information, and how does it fit into the frameworks of like what I need more of? So like, am I consuming it to help me get clarity and build a deeper conviction around something I don't know already? So like on the PulseChain side of things, it would be like if there's something new that came up in like our sector, even though I was learning about like 404 NFTs and whatever things like that the other day. And I was like, oh, I'm consuming this information because I want to learn this so that if it comes up, I can understand like, is it for me or is it not?
Yeah, yeah, that categorization, putting things in mental compartments, it's pretty critical in terms of when it comes to crypto. And you've got all these narratives like AI, DPIN, DeFi, layer ones, layer twos, meme coins. I mean, the list goes on and on. Do you have? I'll just get to like the salacious questions. What are your top cryptos in each sector? You know, like do you have a top pick for all those different sectors?
No. Short, no. First off, I like to ask myself. I personally think it's too exhausting to play in every single sector, so I like to start off with like, what are the things that I'm passionate about, and I'll ask my students this as well. Like, what are you passionate about? And I'm really passionate about the financial system, the old system fading away and evolving into something different. So I love the DeFi side of the world, and my engineering brain also just loves the systems. So that's where I say like I play in this, and I play in this really well. And I may play in other sectors, but realize that like a lot of my conviction goes back to playing in the DeFi world.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of similar in that way. We both got an engineering background, engineering degrees and whatnot. That's why DeFi appeals to me. But like you said, it's also the recreating of the parallel financial system. I personally like when there are projects with a track record that replicate something that either already works in the real world or already has worked in the crypto world. We know AI is going to be a hot new thing. I could take some guesses. Like I think Morpheus is a good project when it comes to AI, but we're about to witness like the Cambrian explosion of AI projects, and which one or 10 or 20 of those thousand are going to actually land. I mean, that's a brand new sector and a brand new asset class. So it's doubly hard to choose the winners. I mean, I could always just resort back to, bet on the team, bet on the community, bet on the people. Utility is almost secondary if you don't have a good reason for existence and people that believe in it. But that's why I'm attracted to PulseChain, right? It's an iteration on Ethereum, cheaper, faster. We know Ethereum works, Hex as well. It's just a modular, isolated store of value like Bitcoin was, but it's newer. It's lower liquidity. It actually pays you trustless interest with no middleman. There's no admin keys behind it. There's a giant fanatic community that's staked out, 7, 8, 9 years on average. So these things don't reinvent the wheel. And I say this all the time, like PulseX as well. This is Uniswap with a buy and burn function baked into the code. We don't need to make a totally brand new Uniswap. And those will come along. Those are kind of a unicorn, you could say. But when they do come along, it's nice to look back and say, we could take that idea and do that a little better. And I think that's what a lot of PulseChain is it's so far, when I look at the DeFi built on PulseChain, they've taken the best of the best of all the protocols that worked out. And we didn't have to suffer through all the crap that failed because nobody ever remembers that. But we just get to pick, Liquidity protocol. Let's fork that a couple times. Or GMX, we could fork that one. because those are the ones that worked out, right? So it's easy to have that survivorship bias now.
And you brought up a good point too, with just like the historical patterns. And I think as humans, like noticing where it's like, all right, so we may have our convictions and we believe in the things that we believe in, and seeing the potential in PulseChain in all these different ways. However, how are we going to keep on building more adoption? Who else is going to come into this? And I like to look at this of like the whole crypto world, like people are overwhelmed with information especially when they're coming into the space. And so what are those things that the technologies and the investments that people can actually understand in a way that's digestible to them? And I've found this time and time again as I've taught so many women that come through, and when I describe PulseChain and even looking at the historical patterns, where exactly we say is like it's a better Ethereum, PulseX being a better Uniswap, like they get this and they're like, oh, I want to align to the thing that's better. I understand, like, this has already worked. This is something that you need in the crypto space. Okay, let me align to that. And so it's even seeing from a human perspective of like the newbies coming into the space, they can grasp what they're investing in. And that, I think that fundamental concept is something that will help so much more, especially in this market cycle. And I think as we're seeing even with the ETH ETF, where people are like, TradFi can get this because they understand they're investing in a network. Same thing with PulseChain. It conveys over very well because we already have existing history that it's been successful.
Yeah, I mean, I even think PulseChain was better received than Hex was at first. Hex was very controversial because people hated, the Bitcoin maxis especially hated it the most because they didn't want the new thing to come and take their lunch, and to even try to compete with Bitcoin was such a lofty goal that was so out there. They're like, oh well, the Bitcoin is one in a 10,000 coin. You're never going to get another one. It's like, well, you might get that 2 in 10,000, right? You might get another one every 10 or 15 years. So then the natural question for people that are skeptical, and they're like, well, how do you know that Hex is going to come back? Most altcoins fail. How do you know that PulseChain is going to be successful? 99% of altcoins fail. And we can give you the value props like we just did. Hex is store value. It's trustless, immutable code, modular, isolated, no admin keys, trustless yield. You don't have to beg a middleman to give you yield. We can tell you all the technical reasons why it's awesome, but you're also just betting on the fact that there's such a vibrant community here that's just not going to stop talking about it. Like when you're looking down 5 years, 10 years, and you realize that you've got this foundational layer of Hex stakers that have voted with their money. They've voted with their economic energy that they believe in this project for. And by the way, for new people, you don't have to make just one Hex stake. A lot of people make multiple, but the average stake length for people that have 10 or 20 stakes is like 6 or 7 years. You don't see that in any other project where you've got a group of people locked in, literally locked in, and figuratively, right? They're committed to seeing this whole ecosystem do well. So to me, it makes that bet of which coins are going to be here in 2 or 3 cycles from now. In 2030, which coins are still going to be here? You're still going to have a base layer of hexagons and whatever you want to call us, hex aficionados, but they're not going anywhere, and they're going to continue to spread the message, continue to outbound message, which is really keeping people's attention. And these days it's an attention economy. So it's just a matter of not dying almost.
So can you unpack a little more? I know we've chatted a lot about this personally, but around the community aspect in crypto and why in particular it's so important, because like we know things are moving so fast, but can you unpack a little bit more why the crypto community matters so much?
Yeah, I mean, communities matter for promotion and marketing and survivability. Like a lot of things have had great tech, but no one was around to explain it well. The founder of Hex just tweeted out about Bitcoin. He said, look at how good of an invention Bitcoin was, such that even though they had terrible marketing in the early days, there was nowhere to buy it. It's basically just a bunch of cypherpunks and tech nerds who are, typically, and this is a generalization, but typically really hardcore tech geeks don't make the best marketers, don't make the best promoters. So now we've got equally good tech, but a little bit better iterated on, and a better, more lively, better community that's able to convey these ideas in mass on the internet. Hundreds, maybe thousands of us on Twitter, right? I lost count, right? But people are temporary fans or they're hardcore believers, the whole spectrum. But look at how successful Bitcoin was with none of what we have today. So that shows you that Bitcoin is fulfilling a basic need. Ethereum is fulfilling a basic need. There's not a whole lot of paid Ethereum influencers either. Maybe Bankless, I don't know, but like not a whole lot of us out there. Like it's not like people have these mega giant YouTube channels that are just Ethereum promoters or Bitcoin promoters. It's all been organic so far. So the world must actually be valuing this tech fundamentally because, well, obviously number goes up, but why does the number go up? It's because crypto, real crypto that's decentralized, is fulfilling this empty hole of peer-to-peer borderless digital money with no middlemen. Like a lot of money out there can be censored, right? They can shut your Venmo account off if they don't like who you're sending a Venmo to. Doesn't matter. I mean, don't get me started on third world countries. They need this more than anybody. But first world countries, just because you don't personally need it now doesn't mean that, oh, I've got family over in India and I need to send a remittance payment to them. Like it doesn't mean that that will never happen to you. So it's as an invention from the base layer, society needs this. That's been proven to be true. So what if you have something society needs plus better tech, iterations upon it? That's the PulseChain ecosystem, plus a crazy fan base community that's committed in the code to be here for years and years. And having a great founder helps too. I mean, he hasn't been as active lately, but he's going to go battle the SEC and probably win. And that's the cherry on top,
Yeah. And I think part of this too is seeing that this is a decentralized movement. And like collectively in the world, like I study a lot around like the energetic and the consciousness patterns of where we're shifting. And we're collectively all shifting to a world where we want more decentralization, where power is more free to flow. And therefore, a lot of our infrastructure and systems have to evolve in that way too. So even on that front, I like to see where like, why does community matter so much in a decentralized world versus a centralized world? It's like to even think that like the centralized worlds, they all have like C-suites, they have marketing teams, they have VC funded, like they have all the power is in a few hands, and therefore like that energy stays and that power stays clogged up in those people too. So it's like if we want to shift to this world of decentralization, community is going to matter so much more. The power is really in the people because this is the world that we're shifting into, where we make the movement. Power gets to be spread and distributed. Narratives get to be sculpted by us, and people are not paid by it. It's truly a movement for the people.
Yeah. It's the best thing to happen to us since the internet, I think. And you can read all kinds of books like The Fourth Turning, or there's a book called The Sovereign Individual that, they basically also spell out these patterns historically, that we move from historical periods of centralized power to decentralized power, where the cost of violence isn't as great. And that's what we're going through now. Like the cost for America to be, imperialist and go to all these wars, it's diminishing. Right. Because, even look at their dollar right now. There's contenders with like BRICS and crypto and even gold, and other countries are actually vying for the top spot. Ray Dalio said that the average currency typically only lasts 250 years. So it's normal for us to see countries move in and out of power. And right now we're kind of in this period in time where anyone can be their own sovereign individual. So there's less national identity. You've got people like becoming digital nomads and that kind of thing. People wanting the power back and wanting to be their own boss and stuff like that. I mean, like even the whole entire job of being a YouTuber that didn't exist 20, 30 years ago. It's like, right. What are you even talking about? You can just talk on the internet and like, that's your job. Yeah. We live in this world now. So crypto is just a reflection of what's also happening in the greater patterns of society. So what do you, how are you experiencing those kinds of patterns in your personal life?
Ooh, it's almost like, how am I not experiencing it?
Right. Well, because you quit your job, right? And like you went into like working for yourself, kind of like I did a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Honestly, I've felt the first response I want to say is like, I've had to build a lot more inner trust within myself of like all these jumps, all these leaps of faith to then prove to myself of like, how powerful am I actually? Like, can I actually create these things? And I think like with the world today, there can be so much fear, but it also feels like there's a lot of invitations out there of like the world is shifting and evolving. Like, are you going to jump? Are you going to be with us? And I have found so much of like definitely leaving the job, leaving the safety net. I left the US a few years back. I'm back in the US now, but it was like all of these jumps that I was like, I want to do this because I want to prove it to myself and see like how resilient am I actually? And it's from that I'm like able to take more risks, but then also really like I find even the moments of like feeling wobbly, those moments where you doubt yourself, you doubt the pathway, you doubt whether that's investments or like lifestyle things where you're like, oh, should I have more stability in these ways or like X, Y, and Z? Like all of those moments are those like true moments that test me to realize like, what do I actually need to feel safer, to feel more like I'm thriving more? Is it more information? Is it that I need to take action and I need to take a jump? Is it that I need to ask for support? Am I just making things hard for myself? Am I choosing the hard path
Getting
every
in our
single
own
time?
way, right?
Or,
Yeah.
it's crazy. So really I've like learned so much about myself. And I think that like there can be a lot of fear around like, well, I need X, Y, and Z safety. And it's like, do we actually, or do we think we need this because society has told us that we need this? And can we actually create like, am I capping myself thinking that I need like the 100K a year when actually there's like so much more ahead of me if I just take the jump and open up a pathway for something different?
Yeah, and there's also nothing wrong, like necessarily with a traditional 9 to 5 lifestyle,
Totally. Oh,
which
totally.
has been a new thought for me because probably like you, my whole life has been like get out of the rat race, screw the 9 to 5, and that does seem to resonate with a lot of people, probably because that's the energy I'm putting out there, right? But the people that have gravitated towards my my courses or my groups and just networking with me in real life, they've all got this similar anti-establishment mentality of like I want to be my own boss and screw the man and all this stuff. But there's also nothing wrong with being an employee as long as I think everybody just wants purpose. And so crypto has given us this sense of purpose, at least me personally. It's I couldn't imagine doing anything else because when you can tell people the path to go to get financial freedom and then it works out for them and then they're like, thank you so much. Like you changed my life for the better. Like that's not something that I ever personally got in my office little white collar job. So
Yeah. And the other part of this is like, I like to see, I'm like, yes, you can totally have the 9 to 5 job. You can have all these safety and security blankets built in. That's great. And also, once you have those security blankets in, you can also build a game so that the money can work for you that you are bringing into your world. So even when I see like a lot of the American dream has died, it's like it may have died and it's just evolving and inviting you to like play a different game with money and to be like, okay, maybe I'm in this game for now, but can I build freedom for myself so that like I don't have to wait until 65 or 70 to retire? Like, can I expedite this whole journey? And that's what I really love inviting people is like, we don't have to like burn your whole life down, but you can just add these little amplifiers to help expedite the journey.
yeah, I think when it comes to retirement, the one thing I've learned is like that doesn't exist. You just find a new way to fill the time
Yeah.
and you end up doing stuff that you like. And hopefully, I want everyone to have the realization that you can do something with a purpose at an earlier age. You don't have to like wait until you've made this much money. Even if I could go back and tell my younger self, hey, just take bigger risks and take that leap of faith because that will kind of light the fire under you to get a sustainable business down. When I was doing a job and a side hustle, I wasn't good at either, right? There's a quote like he who chases two rabbits catches neither. So it's
Mm.
like, I learned that one the hard way in my early 20s. So just I don't know. I'm not sure where we're going with this.
Yeah.
Somehow it all relates back to crypto.
Is there anything else for you? So seeing how the world is the world is evolving in the future that is ahead, has there been anything else in your personal world that like you've been tested in a big way, or like things that you've unveiled and learned about yourself through jumping into this unconventional way?
Yeah, I mean, there's been sudden wealth syndrome is a semi-real thing, right? Like there's this mentality that you want to help people, but then there's also going overboard and realizing that you can't help people that don't want to be helped, whether that's in relationships or in real life or in business, Um, people need to come to these realizations on their own. People need to find crypto or find whatever they need to find when they're ready for it. And that's why a lot of times now I'll say no to a lot of things that come my way. A lot of people want to, work together, and it's like, shill my meme coin, bro. And now I'm able to just be like, no, I'm good, because, I've been burned financially or relationships and stuff like that in my personal life, for giving too much of my own energy, right, to people that really just kind of weren't ready for it or didn't really deserve it. So I guess that's a learning lesson. But yeah, what about you?
Well, I think like with that, it's like refining, like with more money comes more power. And it's like, how do we discern with how we're using our power and our energy? I've had so many things that keep on coming up around the energy side of things. But even as you were saying, like with the sudden wealth syndrome, I've noticed on my end, like the evolution of like what it feels like to be able to hold money versus, and even like that ability, because it's like when someone is hit with that power, that wealth that comes for yourself, it's like I noticed how certain decisions came up in my world and I disempowered myself to make financial decisions, and ultimately it's been like really illuminating just to see like my own relationship, my own journey to money too. um and I've just been so grateful of like how fast it's been expedited, where it's like we're able to experience like the six-figure ridiculous growths. And then I'm able to see how I human respond to it. And then also notice like, oh, that was like, I got really scared around what that meant to me. And like, maybe I didn't make a decision around selling something and therefore something went down even more. Or maybe I like shamed myself to think like there was a big problem with like my decision-making process. So, I really love just learning how I operate as a human and being like, oh, that works that way. Like, can I rewire and change that programming going ahead to like unlock even more wealth?
That's cool. That's it's really cool, because you got to be ready for it internally. You have to embody the kind of person that is wealthy and have an abundance mindset, which, back in the day when I didn't, in hindsight, it's like, of course I wasn't going to be wealthy, because I wasn't feeling, that wealth mindset already. And there's another saying that a fool and his money are soon parted. And a lot of people out there, I think, they play crypto the wrong way. They don't know that delayed gratification actually works. They don't know that this is a multi-year hold in the right assets, and they want to get rich quick. But that mentality of getting rich quick doesn't lend itself to getting wealthy. There's a difference. I mean, yeah, you might make six figures in a month in crypto, but then guess what? If you're not ready to accept that and embody that person that is a wealthy person, that is more patient, you can slow down, you're not as impulsive. But for most people, it's like when they win a lottery ticket, what do? They spend it all on hookers and blow, and then they're right back to square one. So there's a lot of that too. And it's a metaphor, obviously. What I really mean is they spend it all on more shit coins. And a lot of times it's like, oh, I have one win. Now I'm going to go ape into all these other things because I'm a genius. And that doesn't work either, right? You got to be in it for the long haul. That's why I like yield so much. A lot of people, you can kind of tell if people aren't attracted to sustainable yield over time and they're just chasing one big meme coin pump. Like, that's not, I don't know a lot of people other than like that Ansem guy that do that successfully, right? I know people will always hold up the one winner that had, the Shiba multimillionaire, but ignore all the stuff that even the Shiba guy had to do to get there, right? And also ignore all the silent evidence of the dead bodies floating by, because nobody cares about all the losers. So, I mean, the pattern recognition for the people that are successful that I've seen in the world, Richard Hart's been a crypto mentor of mine, and, other people in different areas of life, is that they always have the patience to not ape into everything, including a new business idea, including a new relationship. Like we can have a bird's eye approach, take a step back and be more deliberate about what we choose to get into.
Mm-hmm. But from this fast-paced world, there's definitely a whole lot of patience that I think we just have to learn of, like, what are we getting into? Why? As we're sitting here constantly, like, gut check, why?
Yeah. Well, why are you still in? Like, I want to know why you're still so bullish around PulseChain, because a lot of people, including myself, our bags are hurting, right? So why are you convicted?
Great question. So where do I want to begin with this one? It's been really cool recently noticing how my conviction has deepened for PulseChain, just from conversations, places that I've been going, even like you and I at Consensus, when we were just wandering around with places, I noticed my conviction was being even deepened on that level too, of just seeing how the crypto space operates. So some of the reasons that I'm still so bullish around PulseChain has been, first, as we were talking about the community, no brainer. The passion that lives behind it, the builders that live in the space, the builders that have devoted their life to, like, I want to build on PulseChain. I want to add value. I know that it's a chain that will have a lot more value add in the future. Like, that is very, very, very bullish, just to see how many people have devoted their life to be like, this is an ecosystem that I want to build more in. Another fact is even seeing like over the last few months, the pump that we did have, and seeing how much activity, how much volume, how many users have been on there, and seeing all of that as like, okay, this is all what is possible in our space when the green candles kick in more again. And we're at price points that are so low that I'm like, this is when the whales and when the people who are really smart with their finances, they want to hop into something when people are not talking about it, when it's super undervalued. And that's when they just want to like slide their 6 figures in, 7 figures in, and they're like, I want to get these great positions because I know what's going to be ahead of this. So I think we, as much as like sometimes we're all in like our own like inner worlds, it's really helpful to zoom out to see how this relates to the whole crypto space. And like ultimately, people are looking for investment opportunities where things are undervalued, where communities are excited, passionate. There are builders in the space. People keep on spreading the word. It's a growth-minded community in that space as well. Therefore, we're all positively keep on building strength together. Of course, there's capital that is backed that we're all waiting for when and things drop in that space as well. Let me see what else. Yeah, and just like in the actual tech, the decentralization to it, I'm just like, everything works. It's just a matter of how, like, when are things going to click in? What is the journey that price is going to go on? But for now, like, also when I question myself, I'm like, okay, like, where else would I like to put my capital? If not PulseChain, like, first off, do you want to sell when you're at these rates? And then also, is there something else that you think can pump stronger? No.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be conservative in crypto, right, it's like just buy Ethereum. But if you want to take more high risk, high reward, to me, the risk goes away when you have information on your side. And you mentioned getting higher net worth individuals in, like people with 6 and 7 figures, and how they respond well at these lows. People with bigger bags, people that are more wealthy, they got that way because they recognize patterns like this. You know, it's not like, I almost find it easier to pitch to these people that, especially in Puerto Rico, that I meet that have big bags, to say, you know, why not just consider this new L1, because if it works out, it could really, really work out. And it almost takes less time for them to just say, okay, sure, I'll drop a small 100K in there. But then you'll spend all day and night trying to convince a pleb to part with his $50 in the PulseChain. So it's like the reason that these people got wealthy in the first place is because they could recognize high risk, high reward plays. So all those people out there that might have doubts, right? It's like, in the worst case scenario, like let's say this only does a 10x, right? The whole ecosystem pumps 10x. You're not getting that in the stock market. You're not getting that in your bonds. You might get that on some random meme coins, but again, if you're not super, super early on these meme coins, like insider level early, and if you don't take profit when you're supposed to, and if you're lucky enough not to get rug pulled in the middle, like all those things have to go right for you. And multiple times, like once is nice, but if you really want to make mad gains, like you have to keep doing that in meme coins. And it's, look, I just got rugged on a base meme coin. All right. Like even I think I'm early to these things. I'm like, oh, cool. I met these guys and they made a meme coin. Obviously I'm not going to tell my followers about it because it's something that I plan on dumping, right? But even these, I'm not even going to say the name of this coin. It's on the base blockchain. You know, everyone on the insider group gets in the first candle, like 30-minute candle, 15-minute candle. And then not even 2 weeks later, the price is up, 10, 20x, and then it just rugs all in one day. I'm like, really? These guys couldn't even hold for 2 weeks? Like, what the hell is going on? I was like, it's been a long time since I got rugged, but I guess that one's on me, right? Just because even when you are an insider, you still don't realize how paper-handed a lot of these people are, because they just don't believe. They're just so anyway, the commonality between a lot of the PulseChain folks I meet is that they believe in something. They have conviction because, again, they're holding multi-years. I mean, look at the Hex staking class. They're not going anywhere. They're still adding more every day. They're still locking for crazy high. I mean, I think people are locking Hex higher than the founder, Richard Hart, actually anticipated. I think when he ran models, I mean, someone's going to correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think he ran a lot of models with like a 2-year average stake length. And now we've got like 6 or 7 years. So I don't know. To me, we already hit critical mass. There's no turning back now. And the difference between whether it's going to be a 10x or a 1000x is a function of how well the community does at outbound messaging. I mean, it's up to us, everybody. But it's also not worth wasting your time on, again, the random pleb on the street that doesn't want to understand it. Or is like, why should I part with my $100? It's like, maybe you shouldn't, dude. Maybe you should keep working and try to get a higher nest egg before you can, because you also need to afford to invest in this stuff too. Like a lot of people, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you don't actually have the money to be investing in crypto. So there has to be some initial screening. I'm sure you found that, right? With talking to people.
Oh yeah. And a lot of it too just goes back to the emotional level. And like we've all felt this in our own investing journey, is when you're saying yes to risk, naturally you're going to feel more attached to the outcome if it matters more for your like livelihood or just living or like the quality of your life or like all the different things. So yeah, it's definitely seeing that the whales are so easy. You just need you need your pitch. But once you get your pitch down of what PulseChain is, what the value, the real world, the real value proposition is here, and like the timelines or what you can expect, people are pretty easy to say yes.
Yeah, I think the people that we see selling at the lows, even though it's unfortunate, it's clear that they invested more than they were willing to lose. And that is something that you can say, and that I tell people, right? And like, I'm sure you tell people. It's so common to say that I think a lot of people are just like, yeah, sure. Okay. But really it's like they invested their next month's salary in this thing. Like if it doesn't go well, they can't eat. Like, no, you need to be able to afford to invest.
Yeah.
And if you can't afford to, it means if you can't put food on the table and a roof over your head, like it should go without saying, but I don't think meme coins are going to save you.
No.
Respect to meme coins, they make the chain fun, and like PulseChain does actually have better meme coins. I say this all the time. We've got actual believers that don't just jeet their bags like right away. People that know how to hold longer than 2 weeks, which is why you've got a lower number of memes on PulseChain, but they're higher quality because the community behind them actually is having fun, and they're not as paper-handed as these Solana memes that have like a 2-week lifespan.
Yeah. We're definitely in a time where people are in crypto and saying, where can I have the most amount of fun? Where can I make my money, but also enjoy my space as well? And I think that all just goes back to the power of community, where it's like, if you build a space where people enjoy or they feel like they matter or people care about them to some degree, people want to come back.
Yeah, people love that, right? All these we have got micro communities within the PulseChain community that are doing a great job of making people feel at home. I talked about Dunbar's number. I'm sure you're at how are you feeling with your limit of how many relationships you can handle? How many business relationships?
I was telling you earlier that I just hit a burnout level last week. I totally was just like, this is too much. I've said yes to too many things. And I felt like I was going to more networking events, and I would just get filled up with more coffee dates after that of people that I would follow up with again. And I was like, this is too exhausting. So
Yeah.
it's like, how do I scale things back more and then how do I just put myself on bigger stages or connect with people that like are more aligned with me so I can be more efficient with my energy?
Did you actually say that to yourself? Because now you just happened to be on a bigger stage last week, or no, this upcoming week, right? You're talking on some talk.
I am, yeah. I've been collectively scooting onto bigger stages. And it's also really helped that I've noticed the more I say yes to those big jumps or those relationships, those friendships, um, my personal friend group has gotten more powerful. And
Mhm.
therefore, like it's you become the byproduct of your like top 5 people in your world.
Yeah.
I've just noticed that collectively everyone in my world is up to big things. And they're constantly like, yep, we handle the lows because the highs are way, way, way bigger.
Mhm.
So yeah, what you were talking about there is I'm speaking uh, on a stage. There's a 3-day conference coming up here in Austin with both men and women that are different leaders in the space. We're all talking about money, abundance, the future of finance in different ways, shapes, and forms, and really how that's related to like the feminine and masculine as well. So it's been really fun just noticing the different stages I've been presented to and to speak on. And all of it's just been a byproduct of like take more jumps, expand the vision even more. There's more people to help here.
Mhm. Yeah. It's cliched to say, but you're right that you are the people that you hang out with the most. And some people might not like hearing that because maybe they're not hanging out with the best people. I certainly have felt that way in my life at times, like, oh, I need to upgrade my social circle. And then you do, and you're like, wow, this is a whole new world out here. And whether that's just moving, I think moving is pretty important
Yes.
because you've moved in your life, right?
Oh yeah, I lived over in Bali and New Zealand. Oh, fun story with the New Zealand. I escaped that during COVID, and one of the Airbnb studios that I ended up renting in the backyard of this guy's home, he's a billionaire, and this guy was running like the Vanguard equivalent. He was the CEO of the Vanguard equivalent to New Zealand.
Dang.
And it was just so funny. It's like once again, you become the environment, the
Yeah.
product of the environment that you're in, like literally the home.
Wow. How was New Zealand during COVID?
um, it was not my favorite season personally of my life.
Mm.
New Zealand, there was a lot of like people are very sheep like they follow the herd.
Oh,
Um, so, and they also wanted to know like, who are you? And I just left the engineering world. Like I didn't have labels. And so they're like, how can we trust you? And I was just like, oh, this is so interesting and weird. So that was really my time of like my crypto sabbatical, which was powerful for that. But yeah, New Zealand was a different place.
cool. I spent a few months in Australia. I loved it, but I was also going to school at the time. So, um, yeah, not really doing anything professional. But
Yeah.
I gotta say, Puerto Rico has been a great move. I encourage anyone to just, if you want to change to a new chapter in your life real quick, change your immediate environment. It could even just be a move to a different neighborhood in your city or something. But upgrading your surroundings or just shaking up the snow globe a little bit, something is going to happen. You might not know what, but you're going to meet some interesting folks, and they're going to set you on this slightly different course. Hopefully, it's for the better, right? Because otherwise, you'll just be crabs in a bucket, as they say.
What for yourself in this chapter, and going abroad in that sense, what has been most illuminating for yourself of like how you responded to the change of the environment?
Yeah, it it forces you out of your comfort zone, and so responding to just being alone in my apartment with knowing nobody, I was forced to get out and go to these different meetups, different crypto meetups, or go to the beach and get involved with, I don't know, this group of people that plays beach tennis and stuff. And let's see what these guys are up to, or let's see if these people are having a party this weekend. Let me just show up and see who's there. I think Puerto Rico just brings an interesting crowd because there are a lot of expats that are from the USA that all wanted kind of a similar thing. Like, not only are they crypto people, but they're also there's a whole segment of them that are into like spirituality and that kind of stuff that I feel like you might vibe with a lot of them actually. And it's they wanted something new and unconventional out of life, and I guess we're frustrated with however things were going in the States. And also, it's a tax advantage place, so you've got a lot of people that have a lot of money that came to Puerto Rico not only to save money on taxes, but for the fulfillment as well. And it's just interesting to see. You've got a lot of like hippie type fire circle type of people, or like drum and bass heads and like fire spinners and all that kind of stuff, which are fun. And then that's kind of almost like there's a lot of overlap of that in crypto. Like, I don't know, you remember Austin Consensus 2024. I felt like it was hippies and tech bros and suited up like finance bros all combined in this melting pot. And that's essentially what crypto is. It's quite interesting to be a part of. And you really felt like you were a part of it, something of like what's happening now at that consensus meetup.
So speaking of consensus, what did you take from it? So we definitely were like stepping into like the future of not even just the future of of finance, but like future of the world. What did you take away from consensus?
Well, I went there with a particular kind of mission to just make connections for the PulseChain Foundation. And like, really, I wanted just to talk to fiat on-ramps. I wanted to talk to whoever company can help us make it easier to buy this damn thing, because it's so, that's the classic chicken and egg problem, is like crypto has a terrible user experience, but you want to onboard the world into crypto. But only the people that are able to get in while the user experience sucks are the people that are going to get the highest rewards, because it's hard to do. So anyway, I'm trying to make it easier, not only by centralized exchanges. Those are a small part, absolutely not necessary, but nice to have. But fiat on-ramps like MoonPay, Transact, some newer companies like Arcelus was one of them, that debit card company.
Oculus?
Arculus?
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce it. I should probably learn that before my call with them. But yeah, so there's a lot of people that can help us on our mission. And even like Circle, I was trying to see if I could find anyone from Circle so we could get native USDC issued, which is a lofty goal and probably expensive. But I even met this other company with a new stable coin that might be able to be issued on PulseChain. It's just about shaking the right hands and finding out the right people, because typically they want to work with us too, because it's a win-win, right? We give them exposure, they give us exposure. So I wasn't so much, the after parties and all that was fun for like the first night, but it is funny to see like, holy crap, these tech nerds have so much money that they're just able to blow like $400,000 on a party and get like some EDM artists. And there's so many of these going on every single day in Austin. It was like, which after party do you want to go to? I don't know. There's 50. But no, there's realistically like probably 25, because every company had their own after party. And you're just like, by the second day, I was like, I don't even care anymore. Like, I came to do I'd accomplished what I came to do during the daytime. So like getting drunk with the guys that work at the company is not something I need to do. But yeah, I mean, what else? Did you go to any like after parties or events outside of the conference that were significant?
The first night before, I went to it was a women's mixer.
Yeah.
And I found that I loved women in the crypto space have this like can do, will do energy. And then when you start talking to them, they're like, how can I help you? And immediately they're like, oh, you need to know this person. You need to know that. Like it's this amplification level. So I really found like all of the conference stuff, like, yes, there's the talks, but more than the talks it's the booths for that, but it's the relationships that you make. And everyone is here and they have their technology and they need it woven in different ways as well. So it's a win-win for everyone, which is even like what you found with the booths too, where like we're going around being like, how can you help me? Can you help me? Can you not? Like, can I send you along to someone else? Like,
Yep.
It's this game and we're all going around in life this way too. I find even like whether that is with dating or friendships, you're like collecting your network and being like, hey, can I insert this person's puzzle into someone else's game too?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. I think you called it yes energy, and I totally agree.
Yeah.
It's such a good word for it. A lot of that going on in crypto, a lot of that just also, even in Puerto Rico, we call it Crypto Rico, right? There's like a lot of people that are just like, oh, you need to talk to this guy. And, just, it's almost like, I describe it as being like in your first year of college where everyone's just a freshman again. And like, everyone is just like excited to meet each other, and just, you don't know exactly how things are going to happen, but you know that it's probably good to associate with these people, or you move this person over to this person, and it's all going to work out somehow.
Yeah. It's totally it's such a small world too, seeing that like the relationships you have now or I have from the past, it's like we never know where they're going to take me to or anyone else.
Mhm.
But it's really all just a relationship game. Yeah. For yourself, going back, is there anything else that is like lighting you up around conviction for PulseChain right now?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't see people backing down at the lows. I mean, this is the hardest part to be bullish. We just had a 75% retracement off our last high. And all I see is more people building, even more people making memes. Like that's, I mean, that can be good or bad, right? But um, people are building new protocols. People are building new fiat on ramps. You've got the Coast team, which I'm super excited that they didn't give up. You know, their persistence led them to a new banking license, and they're going to be a new fiat on ramp that's even better than a centralized exchange because it lets you hold the money directly. It takes your money off of the flow of funds. They don't actually hold your funds on an exchange. You can mint Pulse, PulseX, or Hex directly into your crypto wallet on 0xcoast.com. So go make an account for that if you're listening. And there's a lot of other big projects like what else? Pateus, the DEX aggregator, is pretty awesome. PulseX with the buy and burn and the potential for new yield farms in the future. I mean, I could go on and on about all the projects, and you've got like NFT artists thriving over on PulseChain. It's just the fact that people are doubling down. They're still building, they're still growing. I mean, you can look at the social interactions and the on-chain metrics on gopulse.com. You could always resort back to that and be like, okay, we still have, $30 million of volume, like daily, $300 million of DEX liquidity. Over maybe like 10% of the PLS supply is locked. We've got 500 million TVL, half a billion dollars TVL on the chain. And that's going to go higher when the price of Pulse goes higher, right? Thousands of times cheaper gas fees, tens of millions, maybe $100 million of stables bridged in, 50,000 validators. You know, all these metrics look healthy. They look healthy, and they don't look like they're dying by any means. So if someone's like, oh, PulseChain's a dead chain, it's like they're just speaking their bias because they don't use it personally. And, you know, they can't see the possibility that maybe there's actually people here.
It's just undervalued. I'm like, give me more numbers, give me more of the stats, please. Yes, please.
I'm just reading them right now, literally off the website.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got, what did I want to see? There was one thing I wanted to look at. Oh yeah, on-chain activity, right? So you've got 18 million social media posts, 16 million social interactions today.
18 million?
Yeah, this is total social media posts since launch.
Wow.
It has been 18 million. I don't know if he's only counting X or if he's like incorporating Reddit too. And then the interactions daily, which means I'm assuming that means like likes, retweets, comments. 17 million daily interactions today on PulseChain social media. So, and this number is growing, right? This number is getting bigger. Like it's trending up. So, I mean, the social stuff is a lot of things that it's something that a lot of people don't quantify, but it's nice when people quantify it because you're like, yeah, I feel like all this stuff is happening, but it's nice to see that number growing.
And you didn't even mention what you did help with, and exciting came out last week was the MEXC listing.
Almost forgot. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we got listed on a centralized exchange. Yay, it's good, but no, you shouldn't use it, right? Like, don't go using centralized exchanges, but it's just good because it allows an API for other protocols to plug in. Like it enabled Portal X swap to be enabled. It shows Pulse to a global audience, especially in the East, right? Not outside of the West, but the Asian countries get exposure to it. And there's like 2 or 3 million people every week that go to that website that might now know about PulseChain and be able to buy it. And hopefully now they also know that if you are an MEXC user and you are buying Pulse on there, if you get your coins out of there like you should and use real DeFi, real crypto, send them to your Rabby wallet or to your internetmoney.io wallet. That's another awesome project, internetmoney.io. Awesome PulseChain wallet. Shout out to KG. Another thing to be bullish about. But if you get your coins out of MEXC, then you can unlock all the opportunities that DeFi has to offer. All the yield farms. You could stake Hex. You could buy meme coins. You could do basically everything that centralized exchanges won't let you do. And you're not at risk of them losing all your money or shutting you off or going down deliberately or just by negligence. Exchanges get hacked all the time, guys. So they do matter to the people that are already using them, but we still need to educate people on the fact that using them is not the best way to use crypto at all.
Come on into the DEX world and have some fun with us.
Yeah, we've got
And
more
own your own
logo.
money.
Yeah. Digital money under the mattress. People are scared of that too, you know? Do you ever have people that are like, oh, I want someone else to hold my money for me?
Rarely, but I find it's more of people don't have a system that works for them. Once the system's built and they build their confidence of like 3 clicks through, they've done, I make sure people do repetitions to just like build out your system. And then I have videos to support that. But ultimately, I think the first thing is just like fear around getting it wrong, or like you making the wrong mistake. But once people are like, this is the system, just create it, just follow it, they're like, thank you so much. I feel safe now. I can trust this. And I'm so happy to have the money in my hands.
Well, good. I'm glad that you found that to be true for a lot of people, because I've actually had a lot of people say, hey, can I just like give you $500 and you invest it for me? And
I mean, I get that. Yeah, I get that all the times too.
oh,
I'm
I
like, no,
hate that.
no.
I'm like, almost always no, unless you're like my childhood best friend, right? Like, I'm not going to do that for almost anybody.
Yeah.
And especially not anymore. Like maybe many, many years ago I would have, but now I'm just like, no, you got to teach a person to fish, right? Let them fish for a lifetime.
Yes. My big thing is I don't want to manage people's emotions with it.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah.
I'm
Because you end up doing that either way. They check in with you and they're like, hey, what's the price of my investment now? And it's like, bro, hold it yourself and stop asking. Like, yeah.
Okay, so burning question in my mind. Can the difference between Coast, Coast and MEXC, what are the difference like from a technical perspective?
Sure.
Um,
Great question. Yeah. MEXC is a centralized exchange. Coast is, I guess you could call it a centralized exchange, but the difference is that they strongly discourage ever holding funds on the exchange. So if you link your bank account to Coast, it doesn't show you like a trading terminal with candlesticks. It doesn't show you a price chart or anything like that. It's just like you got 3 options. Which one do you want to buy? Pulse, PulseX, or Hex? And you just pick which one. They make you actually enter your public PulseChain address for your wallet, so that when you buy it, the coins just go directly into your wallet. So the beautiful thing with Coast is that they don't hold your funds. Like the less of your funds that they hold, the less risk they're on. You know, because why would you want to hold funds there anyway? It's just a way to buy and a way to cash out back to your bank. I guess technically you could hold money on there for like in your virtual bank account on there, but you shouldn't, because the whole point of it is just you put dollars in and you use those dollars to buy the core crypto coins in the PulseChain ecosystem. They don't want you trading on there. They're not racking up trading fees from you. They do charge a small fee, which obviously they should. They're a company, and they need to stay alive, but they don't want you to chew yourself up with volatility. And then, they don't even want the ability to lose all your money.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you like connect in your Internet Money, Rabby, or MetaMask wallet right away. So it's like
Exactly.
you don't even have that optionality. But we were talking previously about, you were teaching me some things about the difference of decentralized onboarding tools, like onboarding ramps versus centralized ones. Does Coast, does that still play into a centralized ramp, or is that more?
Yeah, it's closer to decentralized, but there's no way around it at the end of the day. You need to KYC people when you're going from the fiat world, which is the government crypto world, into the crypto world. Sorry, the government dollars world into the crypto world. There's no way around it other than meeting someone on the street and like buying Bitcoin from, in a shady alleyway somewhere where you might get wrench attacked. And like, I don't know, you don't want to even be doing that. There used to be localbitcoins.com, and people did actually get hurt, but that went down because governments across the globe are cracking down. They want to know if you're buying a lot of crypto. It's not ideal, but there will be ways to obfuscate and also to just pay for things directly in crypto going forward in the future. There's only going to become more and more ways to pay someone in crypto. But for right now, the government wants to control all the choke points. which are all the on-ramps. And it's for money laundering and all that stuff. I don't think there should, not saying people should be evading taxes or funding terrorism or any bad stuff like that. But I also don't think they need to micromanage like everyone that bought $600 worth of crypto.
Yeah, it's getting and a lot of it goes back to like some fear mongering that they're losing power. But yeah,
there's always going to be that, right? I think there's actually less people than we think that are anti-crypto in Congress. There's maybe like 5 or 10 like vehemently anti-crypto people, critics in Congress. Elizabeth Warren, Maxine Waters, Gary Gensler, like you can name them. And so you know who your enemies are a little bit better. But I think it's just a lack of understanding. These are the same people that would have probably put a stop to the internet if they could. But luckily it's such an unstoppable force because I mean, there was internet FUD and you can actually read these old articles before the internet. So like they're screenshots of like newspapers and stuff, but it's like, crypto will go the way of the fax machine. It will be irrelevant in 20 years. And it's the same thing as the critics today that just, well, I don't see the underlying value. It's not like a stock where there's a company. It's like, yeah, the value is the ability to send $100,000 from me to you in 30 seconds and not be told what to do or be shut off by anybody.
There's always going to be bears to bull movements.
Always going to be the skeptics and the doubters. I'm much more of an optimist, and that's just a more fun place to be.
It is. Can you give a little bit of education around the difference in the power? So like looking into the future of PulseChain, and how like more adoption will be taking place. I know you're doing a lot with the onboarding tools. So the differences, like you're having a lot of conversations with centralized versus DEXs. Can you actually speak about some of the fundamentals of how this hits price and just the collective movement?
Yeah. DEXs have liquidity pools where you can buy and sell from them. They make the prices more predictable, especially on Uniswap V2 liquidity pools. When you have a centralized exchange with a random liquidity pool off to the side, I mean, you can do arbitrage between these DEXs, I suppose. And you could say, oh, if the price is higher on MEXC and it's lower on PulseX, I can buy it on PulseX, sell it on MEXC, and close the difference back down. People will do that. But it's just easier to trade on a DEX because it's on chain and it's transparent. Like you don't know on a centralized exchange, you don't know how much of that volume is fake or how much of it is the order books are stacked purposely to make you think maybe that there's more demand. So it's like fake volume. They lie about their metrics. It's a dark pool of liquidity, so you can't actually really see how much liquidity is in there. I can tell you because of what we funded, there's about 30K of liquidity in MEXC, right? But I don't think they advertise that. Now it's nice to know because then you're like, wait a second, does that mean like another 30K would just 4x the price? Like maybe it's not that simple with centralized exchanges, but I don't think they really want people knowing how much actual liquidity there is, because if everyone tried to withdraw their coins out of there, I don't even know if they'd have enough money to cover everyone that was trying to do a bank run on a centralized exchange. But anyway, you want to use DEXs because, first of all, they also can't stop you from listing any coin. Yeah. So you don't have to go beg exchanges to list a coin. You can just list your coin for sale, create a liquidity pool, and anyone can access it. Now, when you're looking at a DEX, you also kind of want to make sure that the liquidity pools are diverse, meaning that this is a more advanced topic, but if you go to dexscreener.com, you get the contract address for the liquidity pair, and you paste that into, let's say, the block explorer, like PulseScan or EtherScan. You could see how many different addresses are providing liquidity in that liquidity pool. So if there's like 100 different liquidity providers, you have much lower risk of a rug pull than, let's say, if there's like one major liquidity provider on the DEX. You're like, oh crap, this guy owns $50,000 of liquidity and there's only $60,000 total dollars of liquidity. Like if this guy pulls the rug, then we're all screwed. Nobody can sell, nobody can buy. So that's another risk, but it's another thing that you can see if you have the education to look for that kind of thing. Typically that's not going to happen, except more so on like scammy meme coins. Typically there's not going to be like only one liquidity provider, but if there's not many, there's not much diversity in the LP group, you want to see a lot of addresses in there, more than one or two. But yeah, you can buy any coin you want. I mean, no one can shut you off. There's no KYC. You just go to the website, buy whatever you want. It's how crypto is supposed to be. It's free. It's peer to peer. It's yeah, you don't have to beg exchanges that go down and get hacked. So I mean that should be enough, right? I don't understand why people choose centralized exchanges to this day. It's just bad. Why would you do that when we have DEXs right now?
One thing that I picked up from you, and I thought was really interesting, is noticing how much like the benefit of having so much of our community on DEXs helps positively, of course, like reflect price in really real time, but it also helps move price a lot faster too, because people are like literally hitting the real price chart.
Yeah, that's because PulseX, that's another thing. It is the oracle for the price as well. So the liquidity pair, let's say if you have $50,000 of USDC and you have 50,000 Pulse on the other side, well, then one Pulse equals $1. And that's the PulseX, the platform spits that out as an oracle itself. So yeah, it moves prices much more closer to, being accurate, I suppose. And a lot of the PulseChain community is crypto native. They're on chain by default, which means they're more educated, right? So people in PulseChain, they're starting from a better place with more knowledge, because I think Richard Hart instilled a lot of that into us. Yeah. So you'll see a lot of normie crypto, right? I know they're not normies because they're in crypto, but regular old crypto users, they think like CoinMarketCap is where you do all your research, and like then you go to ME. It's like we have it so much better, and it's just a matter of educating.
Yeah. I was chatting at Consensus too with some of my friends about the whole tax crypto game. And we were ultimately talking about like the different trust structures and all these things. And the big realization was just like the difference of the past versus now in like the 1%ers versus not was really like access to information and people not knowing how to be able to play the game. But now we live in a world where like access to all the information is here. And we get to play the game because we're educated. So I find that's part of the benefit also to our community too, is because we're so sharp, like we have the information, we know what we're doing. And also I think that's why our community is so collectively bullish and has such strong conviction to be able to build deeper, is because we're smart. We're really smart.
Yeah, it's okay to brag about that. Like it becomes so obvious when you see what people think crypto is. They think it's going to Binance or going to Coinbase and just, okay, Coinbase gives me 20 options. I guess this is all the crypto that I can do. And, half those options suck anyway. It's like, no, you withdraw your coins out into your personal wallet, and then you have just the whole world of crypto. It's really eye-opening. So yeah, getting people that personal wallet, getting people comfortable with holding their own private keys, that's the foundations of all this stuff. But it also gives you enough rope to hang yourself with. And we see people get scammed. So how do you stop people from, what are the common scams that you see going on?
I don't see as many scams. I don't play in as many meme coins or things that are on the end. I like to look at the risk curve and realize that PulseChain collectively is more on the end of the risk curve anyways. I know we like to play a lot further beyond, but just perspective wise, I'm like, we're all getting plenty great exposure to PulseX, Inc, Hex, plenty. So I like to stay away from a lot of the scams, as in like, I don't even run into many of them, and neither do the people in my world. So that's not really, I don't really have much to say around the scams.
There's nothing wrong with that either, because yeah, we're already in the risk, quote unquote, the riskiest of the risky asset. And we're like an altcoin in the world's most volatile asset class, right? So you don't need to be doing meme coin degeneracy. Like I said, I only do it if I feel like I'm literally on the ground floor. I'm super early. And also then I don't even feel comfortable shilling it, because it's like, I'm just going to dump this token very soon. So if I do something in the background, I'm probably not going to like just start cheerleading for the meme coins, because a lot of them I don't believe in long term. And even the meme coiners would agree, right? Like 99% of them don't last much longer than a month or two. So But as far as scams, I mean, there's all kinds of other scams. I'm not saying meme coins are scams. A lot of them are not. A lot of them are fine. They're just kind of games you can go play. But the scams are when a fake phishing website will try to ask for your private keys, or when somebody goes and impersonates and says that they're Whitney, and then they're not you, and they ask for your private keys. At the end of the day, just don't give your private keys away to anybody. Phishing email, phishing website, imposter on Twitter, fake giveaways, people in the comments, YouTube live streams that say that they're Elon Musk. Send me 1 Bitcoin, I'll send you 2 back. Elon Musk is not sending you Bitcoin, dude. Like, be careful that you're not desperate, because a lot of people make these mistakes when they're moving too fast and being too desperate for money right now.
I also find the other part is sometimes when people are new to the space and they're giving like so for exchanges, they're giving phone numbers or emails to like log in. Somehow I've gotten this with a few students, is like people will suddenly be getting spam messages, text messages being like crypto this or like Coinbase that. And I ask them, like, whenever this stuff comes up, I'm like, did you ever give them your phone number? Would there ever be a reason to? And so I think sometimes it is really just like you're saying, not being desperate, but it's like taking a breath and asking, like, who would have my information? Why would they contact me? Would they contact me? And it's sometimes when people act in the fear or even the feeling, the like, oh my God, someone's watching me. It's like, no, they actually don't have any of your information, and they're trying to get your information and trying to scam you. But you hold your information to you, act calm, cool, and collected, and they can't actually get you.
Yeah. When you're operating from a place of fear or desperation, which is just fear in a different way, like a lot of these guys, crypto brings out some of the worst of the worst. It's like some of the best, but also the lowest life scumbags too. And everyone can play because it's an open playing ground. If people ever like threaten you or say that there's somebody or act like they're really desperate for help, like, they're lying. There's no hot models in Telegram that are hitting you up and just want to talk and say, hi, I hate to break it to you, right? That's another form of desperation. Yeah, it's crypto. It's the Wild West, right? So here we are.
How has crypto made you a better human?
Ooh, I don't know. It's a big one.
Has it?
Yeah. I think it's made me more of myself. I no longer have to abide by a structure that I felt like I didn't fit into. I feel like I can actually, like, what I actually am doing is good for humanity. I feel like that purpose allows me to operate to my full potential, and to not feel like I'm like in my 9-to-5 job, I felt more like I had to fake it than I do like on this YouTube channel, right? Like I really do feel like I'm being myself. I'm telling you my truth. My truth is that crypto, if you fix the money, you fix the world. This can make you financially free. It has for myself. It has for hundreds and thousands of people, people that I'm personally in contact with that have come up with me along the way. And then I guess it just has taught me to handle wealth appropriately too, to not let it go to your head. There's been obviously ego issues and stuff with everybody, right? Thinking that you're, all that, when really, we're all just human beings learning and growing together. I just think it's allowed me to move fluidly in life too. I can do whatever I want. I can kind of say whatever I really feel to be true. I don't have to worry about my company firing me or something like that. Yeah. And I just think that the technology is the biggest thing since the internet, right? Separation of money and state, and huge positive price potential. It can change a lot of people's lives. So like, I could just quit, right? I could just like ride off into the sunset right now and just like live off my crypto. But I just want to get this to more people, especially right now when we're 50% off of sacrifice prices and we haven't even pumped yet. This is the time, and it's no fun to get rich alone, right? Let's bring a squad of crazy crypto pirates along for the ride.
Pirates for you, queens for me. They're all the same. But yes,
Yeah.
Unleash the army.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say degens, but I'm like, I don't want to. That's a derogatory term. But they've owned it, you know. They're proud to be degens.
Yeah. Are you a degen?
I can be 100%, but do as I say, not as I do. No,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll look. I can tell you what meme coins I own, but I'm just gonna dump them on your head, right? Like you're not gonna. I bought Orange Man Good. I think Trump is a powerful meme, exclusive to the PulseChain network, by the way. But I'll tell you right now, I'm probably gonna sell it in like October, like maybe September, when everyone's talking about Trump for the election. I'm gonna sell it, but I understand the power of the trumpeting, right? It's a crazy meme. Shout out to Sami, trumpeting. Look, half the world is in the cult of Trump, half the USA. I mean, they'll buy anything with his name on it, and it's already gone up 10x. So, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of the degen side, but it's all within the PulseChain umbrella.
And if you're here for the ride and you want to play and you have the extra, why not?
Yeah, why not? Right? You got your orange juice and your fluffy slippers, and you're sitting around at your computer, which Whitney actually does.
Orange juice, fluffy slippers. Shout out to Sami.
Yeah. Almost forgot. We got to give him a shout out.
Yeah. I think he's gotten a few today already.
How many ice cubes are in that orange juice?
Ooh, none.
None?
I can just see the little like sad emoji. No ice cubes.
It's okay. We'll let it slide.
Yeah.
Just don't let it happen again.
Yeah. Okay. So final question for you. What are you most excited about for the future? We've talked a lot about where we are at. I know a lot of things that you have been building and working on behind the scenes, but what are you most excited about for what is coming up within PulseChain or in the crypto side of things?
I just want the pump. No, I mean, look, the bull market's going to be awesome and euphoric. It's just going to feel better knowing that we prepared as many people as we could for it, that we're kind of having this part of history.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm excited for. The glory, the gains. I mean, again, like I live very comfortably, so I don't even need more money, but it's just about kind of seeing this through and making sure it's successful, and giving people a superior asset that doesn't compromise on centralization. It doesn't compromise on like having any back doors or middlemen. It's real crypto, and it's just better crypto. So yeah, glad you're along for the ride.
Oh, I've been loving the ride, and we're only getting started. And that's the cool thing, is just remembering like we have something that is so gold, great timing, great space, prices are whatever they are. Either way, we're here to play the game. I'm like, let's bring on more people into PulseChain and allow them to also get this invitation in, because in the crypto world, there's so much of the VC money or the Telegram chats, the like private conversations, that it's like, this is the thing that the power really is in our hands. And the invitation is sitting right there if people can pass the IQ test and get into PulseChain.
Cool. Before we wrap up, let's give let's get a price prediction from you. Do you got a crystal ball? I feel like you would be the kind of person to actually have a crystal ball.
Oh. Here's a question. I don't love.
Hey, if we're all just pulling numbers out of our butt, they're all made up. But
yeah.
What do you think by let's say the end of the year?
Ooh, end of the year. Where are we at today?
It's June 7th.
I think, well, obviously sack rates feel very, very easy. Which is only, we're only doubling up from that. Let's say 0.02.
Okay.
That feels really, really conservative still, but
it's fine. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, hey, maybe I think the bull run's going to last a large chunk of 2025.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even care if that's where we were at by the end of the year. Okay. We still have 9 to 12 more months potential euphoria. You got the ETFs, you've got the Fed rate cuts, you've got the Richard having giant bags cargo cult conspiracy that he's going to buy some of his own coins.
Ooh, but also by the end of the year already means SEC case probably and hopefully goes through, or we'll have updates around that too. So it's like, That feels that my prediction's very, 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 very low, which feels great. I like being conservative.
Yeah.
I'd rather exceed all of my wildest expectations and then just be like, great.
Sure. I feel you. I think, yeah, with October 24th around the corner for the SEC case, taking Occam's razor, like the simplest, most likely outcome is probably just going to be more delays, like nothing big happening. But with the changing of the paradigm, with the changing of the regime potentially and the president, we might get a new president. We might get a new regulation around crypto. Gary Gensler might be kicked out, or crypto might just be given to, the CFTC or the FTC. They might make clear guidelines around crypto that make the case invalid or irrelevant. So time will tell. I think it's all good, though. I can't see that much of a negative outcome. Even the worst case scenario of Richard paying a fine doesn't seem very devastating when look at Binance, right? CZ is in jail. Binance coin just made a new all-time high. Like the market chooses not to care about this stuff.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so, okay, your price prediction, your number?
I'm going to say 5x off of sacrifice price.
Nice.
But I'm just guessing.
Yep.
And so is everybody else.
Crystal balls.
Lines in a chart all day long, but that's all people are doing.
Yeah. Well, this was so great. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm just glad we can unpack all this and just get an update of where we've been sitting in the PulseChain side of things and in the crypto world.
Yeah, pleasure. I think a lot of people appreciate what you have to say. You have a great perspective. So go like and subscribe to Whitney Magic, queenofmillions.com. What are you on Twitter? Just Whitney Magic?
Whitney_magic. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, everybody. See you later.